How can we encourage social cohesion across Sydney whilst alleviating the inequalities experienced by minorities? Sustainable Development Goals in 2015, and Australia, along with 195 other nations, committed to these goals. The goals of 169 targets, however, they ultimately aim to end poverty and inequality, tackle climate change, and promote sustainable business and innovation. The three pillars that are considered a priority are economic growth, social inclusion, and environmental protection. Sydney developed a City for All plan, which was designed to sustain a socially just and resilient Sydney over the next decade. This was inspired by the United Nations Development Goals, addressing Goals 3, good health and well-being, 8, decent work and economic growth, 10, reduce inequalities, 16, peace, justice and strong institutions, and 17, partnerships for goals. The City for All plan then created 4 main principles for its implementation, the ultimate aims being an inclusive city, a connected city, a livable city, and an engaged city. This was formed alongside the existing Sustainable Sydney 2030 initiative, as well as the Resilient Sydney strategy. The Rockefeller Foundation established the 100 Resilient Cities initiative to help combat economic, physical, and social challenges that experience in cities in the 21st century. 100 cities were selected for the network, with $160 million donated towards to build urban resilience. From this, the Resilient Sydney strategy was born in 2018. There are 5 directions that make up the Resilient strategy, and today we'll be focusing on Connect for Strength. This is the overall goal to drive social cohesion across the City of Sydney. Studies show that a socially cohesive city is an economically prosperous city, and as communities become more socially disjointed, that inequalities arise. Subsequently, when inequalities increase, populations tend to destabilize. The 3 challenges that mentioned in this strategy are proof of lack of cohesion. The challenges are cultural diversity. Did you know that Sydney is more culturally diverse than London, Singapore, and New York? In addition, 38% of Sydney households speak a language other than English. This means the language barrier experienced by some Sydneysiders can contribute to their lack of cohesion. Fragmentation. This is typified by the difficulty to move around the City of Sydney and interact with social groups due to inefficient forms of transport. This is most prevalent in areas with concentrations of differing cultures, such as Parramatta, where 76% of the population were born in a nation other than Australia, and double the national average for people speaking languages other than English at home. Finally, and the most pertinent, is intolerance. This is exemplified by the Sydneysiders' opinions on Islam, with 25 to 27% expressing a negative attitude towards minorities. Comparatively, Melbourne is at 16%. Along with this, Sydneysiders disagree that the government should assist in ethnic minorities. This is compared to Melbourne, where 44% disagree. Further research shows that Muslim, African, and Indigenous people experience high levels of discrimination. Particularly, 77% of South Sudanese Africans that were surveyed stated that they had been discriminated against at one point in Australia. The Sydney Equality Indicators Framework, conducted by the University of Sydney, had key findings that can relate to social cohesion. The areas that this framework assessed were employment and income, housing, education, health, public transport, and public participation. Public participation is a key factor for social cohesion. The findings of the framework show that the greatest differences of public life are for Indigenous people when compared to non-Indigenous people. Indigenous people are less satisfied with the access to libraries and parks, and less likely to trust people. They have also reported larger communication barrier when compared to non-Indigenous people. Vancouver, British Columbia, Canada also joined the 100 Resilient Cities initiative. They formed their own Resilient Vancouver strategy with 3 priority areas shown here. To assist in achieving this, they implemented the Resilient BC Anti-Racism Framework. The goal is to connect communities with support, training, and the information required to respond to, and most importantly, prevent incidents of hate and racism. The formation of a centralized coordinated services hub anchors the initiative, with spokes who are branches within the community to help deliver the strategy. They have a strong understanding of the hardships experienced in the community and a distinct course of action for their respective local partnerships. Sydney and Vancouver, Singapore has its own resilient strategy. They also participated in the 100 Resilient Cities initiative. A relevant theme for their social cohesion approach was more targeted efforts that could be done to foster impactful collaborations among stakeholders of the city. Singapore created the National Integration Council to drive cohesion through partnership of the public, people, and private sectors. The Council aims to provide direction for national integration working groups in the workplace, education, media, and community. This is completed by the integration of programs that encourage collaboration between immigrants, foreigners, and Singaporeans via shared interests such as arts, sport, and volunteering. Embrace its strength of culturally diverse hub of people. The issue is a significant number of Australians seem to have trouble understanding the plight of those disenfranchised sections of the community. While Sydney itself has done a lot to assist these communities, there is the ignorance that still pertains of the middle to upper class. We could adopt a similar strategy to what is done in Vancouver and Singapore via the education of the middle to upper class of the City of Sydney and the Greater Sydney area about the struggles of the minorities and the lower class communities. This would be a strategy that includes the collaborations from different councils across Sydney who have different demographics and the struggles of their respective minorities. This would be completed by local town hall workshops, social media groups where collaborations are encouraged, and online education courses where people can learn about their neighbouring councils.